It's been 1 year since I've received the fanciest laser I've ever owned, the Aeon Mira 9 Redline Edition. I've done dozens of projects on this, so in this video, I'm going to go over what I like, what I don't like, and how I feel about it overall 1 year later.
So, 1 year in with the Aeon Mira 9 Redline Edition. This was their brand new flagship series that they came out with that had all the bells and whistles. I even think that the bells and whistles had bells and whistles. So one thing that I immediately liked about it is that it came with everything. I didn't have to buy anything extra that I didn't already have. The machine comes as a all-in-one package, so my water chiller is in there. Has a built-in, really quiet air compressor on the inside for internal management of airflow. I do have an additional air compressor that I use on the outside for higher airflow, but that's not, here or there. But like I said, everything came in built in. If I had nothing else, I just bought this, I would be good to go. So that was the thing I liked about it immediately off the rip. If you have seen some of my other videos, the very first laser that I ever bought, I spent hours documenting and videoing all the upgrades that I had to do to get it to not just a workable order, it worked, but to get it to a fully functional, the way I would like it order. So those videos are out there. So it shows that I put a lot of work into that previous laser that I did not have to do when I got this one. So that does lead to one of the dislikes is that when I got it, the packaging and the crating of it was very good, very secure, but it did make it very hard to lift this. This machine itself weighs over 660 pounds, which means that I had to find four people and get very creative to lift it. A lot of people say that they had to maybe hire a moving service or a safe moving surface to kind of lift it up and put it in position where it needs to be. So it was a lot of work to get this thing into position. Later on, I saw that they started crating these in a slightly different way, especially if you order the base, where the machine will come on top of the base. The base has wheels already, so you're really just uncrating it and rolling it off, which would have saved me days and hours and a lot of sore backs. But once again, that out of everything, getting it out of the crate, pain in the butt, but setting it up outside of the crate, super easy. Now, next thing that I really like is customer service. So, as I mentioned, my previous laser was made overseas, shipped over here, had very little customer support. The majority of the support I got for that laser came from either a Facebook group or some moderators or just finding videos. Trying to contact the company about my laser tube that didn't work was very, very unproductive and really infuriating. This laser, also made overseas, but it's shipped to the US and then it's rewired and tested before it leaves so that when it got to me, it was already tested based on US electricity and wiring standards. And I had a problem with one of the boards inside, and I was able to send an email and within less than 24 hours get a US based representative to email me back and start troubleshooting with me. Over the course of getting this tested, I probably sent and received about, uh, you know, 2 dozen emails. And that was because if they changed shifts, the other person said, "Hey, I got your ticket, I'm working on it." So it was really nice and encouraging that an investment like this comes with a direct line to an active support channel of people who understand the machine and put forth the effort to get you the best resolution. So I was able to swap out the part. They sent me videos on how to swap out the part properly. There was a secondary issue about the bed leveling that I put into a different video, and they were able to walk me through that as well. So two minor issues that I had when I first got the machine. but I was able to get them resolved because they had a very responsive US based support network. So that is something that anybody can appreciate, especially when you're dealing with something this expensive, to be able to get the support you need when you need it in a timely fashion. So in terms of likes, that might shoot up to number one as the best like, because I never felt that I was just stuck with this trying to figure it out myself, or that I was emailing a customer support line that took days to get back to me and didn't have the right level of support I needed to resolve my issue. So yeah, two minor issues resolved within 24 to 48 hours. So huge like on that. Next up, in the realm of bells and whistles, this machine has a lot of internal sensors. So it has mirror sensors. So if your mirrors are overheating, it has water temperature sensors, and it has other sensors that I didn't need to engage with. And the reason I bring those two up is because, as I mentioned, I had technical issues. One of those issues was that I was getting an error saying that my mirror was overheating, which was weird because it occurred when I just turned the machine on and no lasers were firing. But that was one of the issues that was resolved with it was just a default in the board that I was able to resolve by contacting company, sent them an email. They told me what was probably going on. I got a replacement part. Easy. Next, water sensors. If your water is too cold or too hot or anything like that, it has a sensor to tell you that you are out of the safe operating zone of the machine, which is very crucial because a lot of people may be new to lasers. They might not necessarily be monitoring because they used to just store all their coolant in a bucket in the corner, and you didn't know until something went wrong and it was already too late. But I do live in a colder weather climate in the winter, so knowing that the temperature of the water is right and that my tube isn't going to freeze over, very crucial. So major win, but also one of the dislikes, and it's a very small petty dislike, is the water temperature sensor because I don't leave the machine on all the time. If it does get cooler in here, above freezing but still cooler, I do have to wait for the machine to heat up. So if I'm in a rush and I'm just like, hey, I want to go cut something really quick because I have an idea. Sometimes I'm not able to do that because the machine needs time to get the chiller to process the water enough so that it warms up enough to safely operate the machine. I know it's a safety measure. It's a very small gripe, but it is a gripe because sometimes I'm in a time crunch or a spur of the moment and I have to wait for, the machine to warm up. So, like I said, small petty thing, but it's there. Nothing major that would ever have me sending this back because I can't laser fast enough. Let's go to the internals of the machine. The camera and the lighting. So this is the first time having one of these light burn mounted cameras. Super awesome, very nice, especially if you are working with odd shaped material. You're able to really just kind of place the design in the material, which is great because I'm a very scrappy person. So if I have good usable scrap, why not throw it in the laser and use it as a test piece or use it as a final piece because, I have a good section. So very cool on the laser camera aspect. The lighting aspect, good clean lighting all around the inside of the laser, whether it's on or off. My previous laser, I had to install all the nice lighting inside of it. So because I do content stuff, I want to be able to see what I'm working on. So I had to do all that manually in my old laser. This one, pre-installed, looks great. It's adjustable, so that's always a win in my book. With that, the side of the machine, a lot of things that you're able to adjust. You're able to adjust the lighting and you're able to adjust the PSI on the built-in air compressor. And once again, like I said, this air compressor is very quiet. There are normal machine sounds that it makes because there's, like I said, a built-in chiller, but the air compressor is not super loud. Even my external air compressor runs quiet. It could be on right now. You would hear a nice hum, but it's off. But I do have a quiet air compressor. So it's really great because my last air compressor that was built into the machine was I think like an aquarium motor, and it wasn't mounted properly, so it just rattled in the back of my old laser. You can hear it in my videos. It was terrible. So that was one of the first upgrades I made. I had to rip that thing out and then rewire it so that it ran off my external air compressor. So once again, pro, you don't need to do that with this. Built in, has a nice level of air compression. If you do want higher levels of air compression, you can attach an external air compressor, and it's already built into the machine. So you really just connect it to the back, and using Lightburn, it'll show you on the screen like how much PSI you're actually getting out. And so there's always like a base level of PSI you get, even if you turn the air off just to keep the lens clean, which is a nice feature. But you are able to get higher levels of PSI out of your external air compressor if you need built in, and it shows you what you're getting out of the machine. So it's great to just have, like I said, all those extra bells and whistles and those features that it can read and monitor and gauge everything that's going on with the machine. So you never really lost as to what's going. Is enough pressure? Is it not pressure? You can look on the screen, tells you you're getting like 2 psi or 12 psi. All those adjustments right where you need them. So major win on that book. And if you hear at this point, you're like, not a lot of dislikes for this. And honestly, it's true. Like I said, coming from the laser that I had, where I had to redo the fan, redo the exhaust, redo the lighting, redo the air compressing, that was a lot to do for your very first machine. It was a lot of learning. And I didn't have to do any of that with this. Literally, the hardest part of dealing with this machine so far was getting it out of the crate, getting it on the base, and that was it. Everything else I figured out along the way because I'm familiar with lasers. But yeah, I mean, there's really not a lot to complain about, especially with the amount of investment for this machine. Now, full disclaimer, Aeon did send me this laser, but I'm telling you as a person who has purchased a laser previously, and one of those, you get what you pay for. If you want to spend hours figuring out foreign wiring color schemes, because there's brown wires in there and they're not just the standard red and black, green and white. So you got to figure out where that brown wire is going. If you want to do that, if you want to make all of these extra upgrades that I had to make in my other videos to get your laser up to a certain standard, save the money, kind of. You're going to come back to it in time, but you're also not going to get a level of support from that unless you potentially speak Chinese. Even then, they weren't really helpful in terms of getting stuff out. Versus this machine, like I said, you are making an investment, but out of the box, everything works. If it doesn't work, you have a support system based locally in the US who are there to help you, and they're very responsive. So, whether, I pay full price, half price, whatever the case may be, the price is that for the value that you get out of a machine like this, I deem it a worthwhile expense, especially if you're in any sort of business that does sort of, large scale manufacturing, medium scale manufacturing. It's fast, quiet, efficient. It's definitely sped up a lot of the processes that took longer in my previous machine. I'm getting accuracy. I have easy, quick change of my laser lenses and my heads. The cleanup on here is phenomenal. I should have started with that. Laser cleaning, cleaning the tubes, cleaning the actual modules and getting those cleaned up. Very easy because it's a slide out system. It's not a, unscrew the nozzle, unscrew the thing. No, you literally, it's kind of magnetically attached. You slide out the lens, you're able to clean everything in there, slide it back in. It's really nice. Like the level of efficiency and detail that went into this machine is noticeable. I mean, it would really spoil you for using other machines that are out there if you decided to, like, oh, I bought one of these, but let me buy this other one. Like, once you start using this, you're going to be like, oh, and that's for a lot of people who have Aeon lasers. I've seen them buy more Aeon lasers, either bigger or maybe smaller because they had different needs, but they buy the same type, the same brand of laser, because they know the level of support and they know the level of consistency that you're getting with this setup. And for me, when I'm doing big batch jobs, being able to crank those out efficiently is paramount, because I don't have a lot of time in the shop. So I need to make sure the time that I am here is being used wisely. So with that in mind, the likes definitely outweigh the dislikes, and my dislikes were, petty in some ways, but not even petty, because I couldn't really find too much wrong with the system, because it just works so much better than what I've been used to. So all that being said, if you are in the market for your next laser or your upgrade, or you're looking into getting into a larger scale piece, I can honestly say this is a system that I would definitely buy. If I had the money years ago, this was I think it was the Mira 5, I was trying to buy it. But I didn't have the resources at the time. I bought the other one, and I paid for it in lots of time spent on the back end. All kind of worth it, because it got me into a position where I was very knowledgeable about the ins and outs of lasers, of knowing what's wrong, that should work, but that doesn't work, and why it doesn't work. So that way, when I got into something that was like, a Cadillac versus a, old 98 Ford Fiesta, I knew how to get in there. I was like, this is the way it should work, this is the way it should work. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point, because like I said, the laser's great. I mean, if I had said that in the beginning, you probably wouldn't have watched it to this far, but the laser's great. If you're looking for something large and in charge, the Aeon Mira 9 Redline edition is phenomenal. So I am very appreciative to Aeon for sending this out to me for the last year to work on, review, test, crank out all the projects that I've created. So thank you for that, and thank you for your time watching the video. If you have any questions, leave them down at the bottom. And as always, I appreciate your time, and have a good day.